Okay, so you ever just feel like reality could use a little bit of a remix? Like you need something more immersive?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like this urge that we all have to kind of break free from the ordinary
Totally.
and just experience the world, in
Yeah,
a totally different way.
that is exactly what is so captivating about Meow Wolf.
Right.
They're not just making art installations. They're
Uh-huh.
building these crazy immersive worlds that honestly feel like stepping into like a real-life psychedelic experience.
And to like really get into how they pull this off, I think it's helpful to look at Richard Alpert, better known as Ram Dass,
Okay.
and his book Be Here Now.
Right, so we have your notes from your Meow Wolf experience.
Yeah.
We have Dass's consciousness explorations. It's like comparing notes from two adventurers who like went into these uncharted territories of perception.
That's a great way to put it. And I think what's so fascinating is that both Meow Wolf and Dass's work, they kind of both tap into this idea of like altered perception, seeing the world in a new way, even without actually using psychedelics.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
One of the first things that struck me about Meow Wolf was how disorienting it all felt.
Yeah.
You walk into these installations and it's like all the rules of space and logic,
Yeah.
they just kind of disappear, you know?
Right.
Think about like those winding hallways and secret passages and just the visuals that kind of like bend your mind.
Totally.
Did you ever feel like you were like literally lost in there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a really brilliant way to shake up our like normal ways of navigating the world, right?
Totally.
Think about how much we just like rely on routine and knowing what to expect. And Meow Wolf just throws all that out the window.
Right.
It's disorienting, yes, but like, is that disorientation maybe kind of what we crave a little bit?
Interesting.
Like a break from the predictable,
Yeah.
a chance to see the world with fresh eyes.
That's such a good point because it's like that feeling of being a kid again, exploring the world with that sense of wonder,
Yeah,
not knowing what's around the next corner,
totally.
and that sense of disorientation. It can be a really powerful tool for achieving like an altered state of consciousness,
Yeah.
which is something that Dass talks a lot about.
Exactly. Dass describes this feeling of the ego dissolving,
Okay.
like a loss of self that he experienced through meditation and psychedelic use.
Okay.
And he talks about it as like the breaking down of Richard Alpertness,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing himself like fragmented into all these different roles that he plays in life and realizing that he didn't need any of them to actually exist.
Wow, that sounds really intense.
Yeah.
It makes me think about those times in Meow Wolf where you literally can't find yourself.
Right.
And I don't just mean like physically lost, but like
You.
the you that walks through the world every day
Uh-huh.
just kind of fades away.
That's a profound connection. It's
Yeah.
almost like Meow Wolf is creating this little taste of that ego death experience,
Right.
but in like a safe and playful environment.
It's true. And it's not even just the disorientation. Meow Wolf is a feast for the senses.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they turned up the volume on everything,
Oh.
lights, sounds, textures.
Totally.
You're constantly being bombarded with stimuli. It's almost overwhelming at times.
Well, this sensory overload, that's like another really key element of
Yeah.
the psychedelic experience. Our senses are always being bombarded with information,
Yeah.
but we normally filter most of it out so we can, function
Yeah.
in like a stable reality.
Right.
And so what Meow Wolf does and what psychedelics can do is disrupt those filters. So we experience just like the full flood of sensory input.
So it's like they're hacking our perception,
Exactly.
kind of short-circuiting those filters to
Yeah.
make us experience the world
Uh-huh.
in this raw, unedited form.
Exactly. And in that unedited version, what happens. The mundane can become totally extraordinary.
Right.
Like a simple pattern of light might suddenly become like a cosmic dance. Or like the texture on a wall might feel like a message from another dimension.
It's like they're giving us permission to let go of our preconceived notions and just experience.
Totally.
And, this actually connects to something that Dass describes in Be Here Now,
Oh, yeah.
how psychedelics can heighten your sensory awareness to the point where, like, the most ordinary things become totally fascinating.
Absolutely. He describes how during his like psychedelic journeys, colors became incredibly vivid.
Wow.
Sounds had these new depths and like everyday objects just seemed to pulsate with life.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Meow Wolf is creating a space where we can tap into that same heightened awareness,
Right.
that sense of awe and wonder, but without needing any external substances.
Yeah, and it's not just about like amplifying our senses, it's
Yeah.
about shifting our perspective.
Okay.
Meow Wolf is encouraging us to see the world through this like childlike lens where everything is new and magical.
Right. There's this inherent playfulness to a lot of Meow Wolf's work. They want you to touch things, climb through things, discover hidden passageways.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, forget everything you think you know about art and just play.
Yeah, that playfulness is really crucial for breaking down those like barriers of our adult minds,
Uh-huh.
just to let us experience the world with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And this is where Doss's concept of the Divine Mother comes in.
Okay. I'm curious. You keep mentioning the Divine Mother.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean, like in the context of Meow Wolf?
Yeah.
How does that concept actually show up in the art itself?
Well, Doss uses the term Divine Mother to describe like this underlying energy, the sacredness that's in like all of existence. It's not about any specific religious figure.
Right.
It's more this idea that if we shift our perspective, we can see the extraordinary in the ordinary.
So it's about finding the divine in those everyday things.
Yes.
Like the details we often overlook.
Exactly.
Did you have like a moment in Meow Wolf where an object suddenly felt charged with that kind of deeper meaning? Like it was more than just art, but something sacred.
That's kind of the beauty of these installations, is that they create a space where those kinds of epiphanies can happen.
Right.
It might be a certain texture, a pattern of light, or even just the way two objects are placed next to each other. And suddenly the mundane becomes full of this wonder and significance.
And that's such a powerful experience.
It is.
To have that shift in perception where you start to see the magic in the everyday.
Exactly. And it's something that both Meow Wolf and Doss seem to be pointing to.
Yeah.
This idea that the extraordinary isn't something we have to like seek out in far off lands or mystical realms. It's already here all around us if we're just open to seeing it.
So we've got disorientation, sensory overload playfulness, and this idea of finding the Divine Mother in the everyday.
Yeah.
It's all starting to paint a picture of how Meow Wolf creates that real-life psychedelic experience.
And we're just scratching the surface here.
I know, it's amazing.
There are so many layers to unpack, from the role of narrative and storytelling to like these deeper themes of self-discovery and transformation that these installations evoke.
It's true. As we're talking about all this, I'm remembering this one installation in Meow Wolf where I walked into this room full of mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so disorienting. Like, I literally couldn't tell which way was up or down.
Wow.
And for a second, I felt like I was completely outside of myself.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of how Meow Wolf uses like space and sensory input to really create a psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
It's these moments of disorientation when our normal sense of self just breaks down.
Right.
That can be so powerful for like opening up new ways of seeing the world.
Like your brain is just scrambling to make sense of everything.
Right.
And in that scramble, it like lets go of some of those rigid structures that we normally use to define like ourselves and our reality.
Exactly. And it's in those moments of letting go
Yeah.
that I think we can tap into like a deeper level of awareness, a sense of interconnectedness with everything around us.
It reminds me of something that Doss describes in Be Here Now.
Oh, yeah.
It's this process of like crisping through a radiation belt where you leave behind everything you identify with.
Right.
And you emerge as like this pure essence of awareness.
That's a powerful metaphor.
Yeah.
I think it really captures the essence of what Meow Wolf is doing.
Uh-huh.
They're creating these radiation belts within their installations, these spaces that challenge our perception and force us to confront the boundaries of our own identity.
It's like they're giving us a safe space to experiment with ego death.
Yeah.
To like dip our toes in that vast ocean of consciousness without actually having to jump off the deep end.
And that sense of exploration and discovery, that's another key part of the psychedelic experience. Meow Wolf encourages us to be active participants in the art, to explore, to get lost, and to uncover those hidden meanings.
Right. It's not like a traditional museum where you just like walk around and look at stuff.
Exactly.
You're constantly like finding new passageways, secret rooms, clues that lead you on these crazy, unexpected journeys.
Totally.
It feels like you're part of this giant puzzle that you're piecing together as you go.
And that element of surprise.
Right.
That feeling of like not knowing what's around the corner, that's essential for keeping our minds engaged and open to new possibilities.
Totally.
It's like, those choose your own adventure books?
I loved those books.
Where your decisions actually determine the course of the story.
Oh, for sure.
Meow Wolf is like that, but on like a much grander scale.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, here's this world we've created, but you get to decide how you experience it, go explore, get lost, and see what you find.
And in that process of exploration, you might stumble upon something really profound about yourself, something that you didn't even know was there.
That reminds me of something else that's really unique about Meow Wolf.
What's that?
It's the way that they play with time.
Okay.
Like, you can get so absorbed in the experience that you totally lose track of how long you've been there.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to this idea of stepping outside of our like linear perception of time, which is something that Das also explores in Be Here Now.
Right.
He talks about how time is actually just a construct of the mind.
Yeah.
And through certain practices, we can access this state of consciousness where time kind of seems to dissolve.
It's like stepping into this like eternal present moment.
Yes.
Where like past and future just cease to exist.
Totally.
And it's not just time.
Right.
Meow Wolf also plays with our perception of space. Like, the way that they use scale and perspective can make you feel like you're shrinking or growing.
Yeah.
Or like the world is bending around you.
Exactly. And this distortion of space, that's another way that Meow Wolf kind of mirrors the effects of psychedelics. Das talks about how under the influence of LSD, he experienced the world as being like fluid and constantly changing, where objects would kind of melt and morph into each other.
It's like they're taking all the rules that we normally use to define our reality, space-time, even our sense of self, and they're just tossing them out the window.
They are.
And it's in that space of like not knowing, of pure experience, that we're really free to see the world anew.
And that's a really key point.
Yeah.
Both Meow Wolf and Doss's teachings, they invite us to question the way that we normally see and experience the world, to just open ourselves to the possibility that there's so much more to reality than we typically perceive.
It's like they're saying, don't take anything for granted.
Total.
Question everything. Look deeper, and you might be surprised by what you find.
And that sense of questioning, of like not taking things at face value.
Yeah.
It's crucial, I think, for breaking out of those limiting thought patterns that keep us stuck in the mundane.
Totally.
It's like cracking open a door to a whole new dimension of experience.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
We've talked about how Meow Wolf creates this immersive psychedelic experience through disorientation, sensory overload exploration, and this playful approach to time and space.
Yeah, and through all of it, there's this underlying message of like challenging our assumptions, expanding our awareness, and ultimately rediscovering that magic and wonder that exists within ourselves and in the world around us.
There's one more thing about this whole Meow Wolf psychedelic thing we should talk about.
Okay.
And it's a big one. Storytelling.
Right.
Because Meow Wolf isn't just like a bunch of cool visuals and trippy spaces, right?
Right.
There's this whole other layer of narrative woven into these installations.
That's right. And the way Meow Wolf approaches storytelling, I think, is incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
It really does mirror that like fragmented, nonlinear nature of a psychedelic experience itself.
Okay, break that down for me. How does Meow Wolf's storytelling actually like mimic that psychedelic feeling?
Well, think about how Das describes his psychedelic journeys in Be Here Now.
Okay.
It's not like reading a normal novel with a clear beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
It's more like these flashes of insight, unexpected connections and symbols that kind of reveal their meaning over time.
It's not a straightforward narrative.
No.
It's more like you're piecing together a puzzle. And each piece you find gives you more understanding. But like the full picture maybe stays hidden.
And that's what makes it so engaging.
Yeah?
You're not just passively watching a story unfold. You're actively participating in making it.
So how does that play out in Meow Wolf?
Take, for example, the House of Eternal Return in Santa Fe.
Okay.
It's not just a fun house.
Yeah.
There's a whole mystery there about this family, the Seeligs,
Okay.
and their disappearance.
Right.
And you find clues throughout the house.
Yeah.
Diary entries, cryptic messages, strange objects.
I love finding those.
And as you start to piece it all together,
Yeah.
you start to create your own interpretation of what happened.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
It's not about someone like spoon-feeding you a story.
Right.
It's about you discovering it for yourself.
Totally.
Making the connections. Drawing your own conclusions.
And that act of like interpretation of making meaning from all these seemingly random things, that's a key part of the psychedelic experience.
It's not just the story itself, though, right? It's how it's presented.
Yeah.
Meow Wolf uses all these different things, text, visuals, sound, even interactive elements, to really draw you into the story.
Absolutely. They create this multi-sensory experience.
Yeah.
That goes way beyond just like looking at art.
Right.
You're touching things, listening to soundscapes, interacting with objects that react to you being there.
Right.
It's like the story is happening all around you.
Yeah.
Engaging all your senses.
And doesn't Das talk about that in Be Here Now?
He does.
Like how important sensory experience is.
He says that our senses are like gateways to different levels of awareness. And by fully using our senses, we can break free from the limitations of our everyday perception.
So it's like Meow Wolf is using this storytelling and this multi-sensory approach to guide us on this journey of expanded awareness.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thanks.
And it's not just guiding us, it's inviting us to be active participants in this like realm of imagination and possibility.
There's this one passage from Be Here Now that keeps coming to mind.
What is it?
Dots describes the Bible as a very groovy astral story.
Okay.
And when I think about Meow Wolf, that just like clicks.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Astral story really gets that feeling of like otherworldliness, of tapping into those like universal themes and truths that resonate on a deeper level. It's like they're making these modern myths using symbols and metaphors to show these truths that like bypass our rational minds and speak to our intuition.
And just like in a psychedelic experience, the meanings of those symbols and metaphors might not be clear right away.
Right.
It's something you have to sit with and really think about.
Yeah.
And let it unfold over time.
It's like those times when you're looking at art in Meow Wolf and you don't know what it means.
Yeah.
But you just know it's speaking to you on this deeper level.
Exactly. And those moments of not knowing.
Yeah.
Of uncertainty, those are just as important as the moments of revelation. It's in that liminal space of being in between worlds that we're the most open to new possibilities.
Okay, so we've talked about how Meow Wolf makes this immersive psychedelic experience through disorientation, sensory overload, playfulness, exploration, and storytelling.
Right.
What does this all mean for our listeners out there?
I think it's a good reminder that the extraordinary is all around us, just waiting to be discovered. Whether it's through art, nature, meditation, or just changing how we see things, we all have the potential to experience the world in a totally new way.
And that potential is inside us, even without using anything.
Meow Wolf shows us that we can tap into those altered states of consciousness, that feeling of wonder and awe, just by interacting with art in a new way.
So think about your own Meow Wolf trip.
Yeah.
What were the best parts for you? What did you feel?
Right.
What new ideas did you come away with?
Yeah, those are so valuable.
Yeah.
They might hold the key to finding new ways of seeing yourself in the world.
That's a great point.
So try to bring that same curiosity, that same willingness to question and explore to your life every day.
I like that.
Look for the magic in the ordinary, the extraordinary in the everyday. You might be surprised what you find.
I love that. And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
if we immerse ourselves in these astral stories, these experiences that challenge our perception and open up our awareness, we can start to create new and bigger stories for ourselves.
It's a journey worth taking.
Totally.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking for those sparks of wonder that light you up.
That's beautiful. And with that, we'll leave you to think about all these mysteries. Until next time, happy adventuring.